If space has no edge, what lies beyond it? Picture this. You're standing at what you believe to be the absolute edge of everything that exists. You reach out your hand and there's nothing there. Not darkness, not a wall, not even empty space, just nothing. But here's the paradox that has kept cosmologists awake for centuries. If there truly is nothing beyond that edge, then what exactly are you standing next to? And if there is something, then you weren't really at the edge after all, were you? Welcome back to another journey into the deepest mysteries of our existence. I'm here to guide you through one of the most mind-bending questions in all of science and philosophy. Tonight, we're going to explore a concept so fundamental yet so alien to our everyday experience that it challenges the very way we think about reality itself. Before we dive into this cosmic rabbit hole, I'd love to know where you're joining me from tonight. Are you curled up in bed, watching the stars through your window? Perhaps you're on a late-night walk, earbuds in, pondering the infinite? Drop a comment and let me know what time it is in your corner of the universe. There's something beautifully humbling about knowing we're all scattered across this planet, yet united in our curiosity about what lies beyond everything we know. Now, settle in, get comfortable. What we're about to explore together isn't just a scientific puzzle, it's a journey that will reshape how you see your place in the cosmos. And fair warning, this might just keep you up thinking long after the video ends, but I promise it'll be worth every sleepless moment of wonder. Let's start with something that feels impossible to our human minds: the idea that space itself might not have an edge. When I say this to people, I watch their faces contort with the same expression you might have right now. It's the look of a brain trying to process something that violates every instinct we've developed about how reality works. Think about your childhood bedroom. It had walls, didn't it? Four corners, a ceiling, a floor. Everything in your experience has boundaries. Your house sits on a lot with property lines. Your city has limits. Even your country has borders marked on maps. We're creatures evolved to understand containers, edges, beginnings, and ends. But space, as our best science currently understands it, might be fundamentally different from everything else we know. It might be infinite, stretching on forever, without ever encountering a cosmic wall marked "Universe ends here, authorized personnel only." Or perhaps even stranger, it might be finite yet still have no edge, curved back on itself in ways our three-dimensional minds struggle to visualize. Imagine you're an ant walking on the surface of a basketball. To you, the surface seems to go on, yet it's clearly finite. You'll never find an edge, but you're not walking through infinite space either. The mathematics of general relativity, Einstein's masterpiece that revolutionized our understanding of space and time, allows for both possibilities. Space could extend infinitely in all directions, or it could curve back on itself in higher dimensions we can't directly perceive. Both scenarios share one unsettling characteristic: no edge, no boundary, no place where space simply stops. As you listen to this, take a moment to notice how your mind rebels against these ideas. That resistance you're feeling, that's millions of years of evolution screaming that everything must have boundaries. But what if everything you've learned about edges and limits has been preparing you for a universe that transcends those very concepts? Here's where our journey takes its first unexpected turn. While space itself may have no edge, there is a very real boundary to what we can see, a cosmic horizon beyond which our telescopes become blind. Not because there's nothing there, but because light itself has limits. The observable universe, our cosmic cage of perception, extends roughly 46.5 billion light-years in every direction from Earth. Wait, you might be thinking, if the universe is only 13.8 billion years old, shouldn't we only be able to see 13.8 billion light-years away? This is where space reveals its first magic trick. While light has been travelling toward us for 13.8 billion years, space itself has been expanding during that entire journey. Imagine a friend throwing you a ball while standing on a moving walkway that's accelerating away from you. By the time the ball reaches you, your friend is much farther away than when they threw it. the light we see from the most distant galaxies began its journey when those galaxies were much closer, but they've been carried away by the expansion of space itself. This creates what cosmologists call the cosmic light horizon, a boundary not of space but of information. Beyond this horizon lie regions of the universe whose light hasn't had time to reach us yet. Think of it as cosmic fog, not because space ends there, but because we simply can't see through the mist of time and expansion. Every night, when you look up at the stars, you're peering through a sphere of visibility, floating in what might be an infinite ocean of space. We are explorers trapped in a bubble of our own perception, forever wondering what lies beyond the walls of light that surround us. But here's what makes this boundary even more fascinating. It's not static. Every second, light from slightly more distant regions reaches us for the first time, slowly expanding our bubble of awareness. We are witnesses to the universe gradually revealing more of itself, one ancient photon at a time. Deep in the silence of space, there's a whisper that's been traveling for over 13 billion years. It's the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of creation itself, and it represents the oldest light we can ever hope to see. Picture the universe in its infancy, roughly 380,000 years after the Big Bang. Space was filled with a hot, dense fog of particles and radiation so thick that light couldn't travel more than a few steps before being scattered. The universe was opaque, like trying to see through a wall of luminous mist. Then something extraordinary happened. As space expanded and cooled, this cosmic fog suddenly cleared. Electrons and protons combined to form the first hydrogen atoms, and light was finally free to travel. This moment, called recombination, was like watching fog lift from a valley at dawn. The universe became transparent, and the first light broke free to race across the cosmos. That ancient light is still with us today, stretched by billions of years of cosmic expansion, from visible light into microwave radiation. It surrounds us completely, a faint glow at just 2.7 degrees above absolute zero, whispering the secrets of the universe's youth. Here, when cosmologists study this cosmic microwave background, they're looking at a baby photo of the universe, a snapshot from when space was 1,000 times smaller and matter was just beginning to clump together into the seeds that would eventually become galaxies, stars, and planets. But here's what's truly remarkable. This radiation comes from everywhere in the sky with almost perfect uniformity. No matter which direction we look, we see the same ancient glow, suggesting that the universe extends far beyond what we can observe, filled with the same structures and patterns that surround us. This cosmic whisper doesn't mark an edge to space itself, but rather the limit of how far back in time we can see. It's like looking at the horizon on Earth. You know there's more world beyond what you can see, but the curvature of the planet blocks your view. Take a breath here and consider this. Right now, as you listen, you're being gently bathed in this ancient light. Photons that began their journey before the first stars were born are passing through your body, carrying within them the encoded history of everything that was, is, and might yet be. Now we arrive at perhaps the most unsettling possibility of all, that space might truly be infinite, stretching endlessly in all directions, filled with an infinite number of galaxies, stars, and worlds. If this is true, and most cosmologists suspect it might be, then we're confronted with implications that strain the very limits of comprehension. In an infinite universe filled with matter, everything that can happen will happen, not just once, but infinitely many times. Somewhere out there, if space truly extends forever, there might be another Earth, identical to ours down to the last grain of sand. Another version of you might be listening to another version of this very video, perhaps making slightly different choices about whether to pause for a cup of tea. The mathematics of infinity are ruthless in their logic. If space contains an infinite number of regions the size of our observable universe, and matter is distributed roughly uniformly, then every possible arrangement of atoms must occur somewhere. Not just similar arrangements, but exact duplicates. This isn't science fiction, it's the unavoidable consequence of infinite space filled with finite arrangements of matter. It's as if the universe were a cosmic library containing every possible book, including the one you're living in right now. But before this idea sends you spiraling into existential vertigo, remember that these duplicates, if they exist at all, are so unimaginably far away that they might as well be in separate realities. The distances involved are larger than numbers that have names so far beyond our cosmic horizon that no signal could ever travel between us. As you contemplate this possibility, notice how it changes your relationship with the concept of uniqueness. In an infinite universe, you're simultaneously utterly unique in your local region of space and one of infinitely many variations scattered across the endless cosmic expanse. The question isn't whether infinity is comfortable for us to think about, it's whether the universe cares about our comfort. And increasingly, the evidence suggests it does not. Let's pause for a moment and consider something that might reshape everything you thought you knew about boundaries. What if I told you that the universe could be both finite and endless at the same time? Not as a contradiction, but as a fundamental truth about the nature of space itself. Picture yourself as a two-dimensional being living on the surface of a sphere, like an ant crawling across a basketball. You can walk in any direction for as long as you want, and you'll never encounter an edge, a wall, or a place where the surface simply stops. Yet the total area of your world is clearly finite. You're living in a space that's bounded without having boundaries. This is where cosmology becomes almost mystical in its implications. Einstein's equations allow for a universe that curves back on itself in dimensions we can't directly perceive. Space might be like the surface of that sphere, but extended into 3 dimensions of curvature we cannot visualize because we're embedded within it. Imagine trying to explain the concept of over and under to that ant on the basketball. The ant lives in a perfectly consistent, 2-dimensional reality, but there are directions of space that simply don't exist in its experience. We might be in the same situation, creatures of 3-dimensional space, trying to understand curvature that occurs in directions we cannot point to or name. The cosmic microwave background radiation we discussed earlier provides clues about this geometry. When cosmologists analyze the patterns in this ancient light, they're essentially measuring the shape of space itself. And what they've found is remarkable. Space appears to be geometrically flat, at least within the precision of our instruments. But here's where it gets intriguing. Even if space is perfectly flat, it could still be infinite, stretching endlessly like an unlimited sheet of cosmic paper. Or it could be flat and finite, like the surface of a torus, a cosmic donut, where traveling far enough in any direction brings you back to where you started. As you contemplate these possibilities, notice how your intuition struggles to accommodate them. We are beings evolved to navigate a world of surfaces and edges, trying to comprehend a reality that might operate by entirely different rules. It's humbling, isn't it? The universe under no obligation to conform to the categories our minds find comfortable. Now we encounter something even more mysterious than the shape of space itself, the force that's actively pushing the universe apart at an accelerating rate. We call it dark energy, though the name reveals more about our ignorance than our understanding. Imagine blowing up a balloon, but instead of your breath providing the pressure, the rubber itself somehow generates an internal force that makes it expand faster and faster. That's essentially what's happening to space on the largest scales. Dark energy comprises roughly 68% of everything that exists, yet we have no idea what it actually is. This mysterious force doesn't just affect the expansion of space, it fundamentally alters what we mean when we ask about boundaries and edges. In a universe dominated by dark energy, galaxies that are sufficiently far away are being carried apart by the expansion of space itself at speeds faster than light can travel between them. This creates something cosmologists call the cosmic event horizon, a boundary beyond which events can never affect us, no matter how long we wait. It's not that space ends at this horizon, but rather that the expansion is so rapid that information from beyond can never catch up to reach us. Think of it as trying to swim upstream in a river that's flowing faster than you can swim. No matter how hard you try, you'll never make progress toward your destination. Light from beyond the cosmic event horizon faces the same futile struggle against the current of expanding space. This means that as time passes, the observable universe will paradoxically contain fewer and fewer galaxies, not because they're being destroyed, but because they're being carried beyond our ability to see them. We're witnessing a cosmic fade-out, a gradual dimming of the universe as seen from our local vantage point. But here's what's truly profound about dark energy. It suggests that empty space itself has properties, an inherent energy density that drives expansion. This isn't empty space as a passive void, but space as an active participant in the cosmic story, possessing what Einstein called a cosmological constant. The implications stretch far beyond cosmology. If space itself carries energy, then the vacuum around you right now, the seemingly empty air between your hands, might be seething with invisible activity at the quantum level. The boundary between something and nothing becomes blurred when nothing itself might be something. What if our entire universe, with all its galaxies, dark matter, and mysterious dark energy, is just one bubble floating in an infinite cosmic sea? This isn't science fiction. It's a serious theoretical possibility that emerges from our best models of cosmic inflation. During the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, space underwent a period of exponential expansion called inflation. This rapid stretching smoothed out irregularities and set the stage for the universe we observe today. But some theories suggest that inflation didn't happen uniformly everywhere. Picture a pot of boiling water with bubbles forming and rising to the surface. In this analogy, our entire universe might be the interior of just one bubble, with inflation ending inside our bubble, but continuing in the surrounding space. This creates what cosmologists call eternal inflation, a process that generates an endless multiverse of bubble universes. Each bubble could have different physical laws, different fundamental constants, different numbers of dimensions. Some bubbles might be too chaotic to form stars. Others might have physics so alien that matter as we know it cannot exist. We happen to find ourselves in a bubble where the laws of physics are just right for complexity, structure, and ultimately, consciousness. This bubble multiverse scenario offers a potential answer to one of the deepest questions in cosmology. Why are the laws of physics in our universe so perfectly tuned for the existence of stars, planets, and life? Perhaps they aren't tuned at all. Perhaps we simply find ourselves in one of the rare bubbles where complexity can emerge, while countless other bubbles exist with different, often sterile physics. If this picture is correct, then the question, what lies beyond space, has an answer that's both profound and deeply humbling. Beyond the edge of our space lies more space, infinite space, filled with other universes bubbling into existence, like champagne effervescence in the cosmic dark. But here's the beautiful frustration of it all. These other bubbles, if they exist, are forever beyond our reach. The space between bubbles continues to inflate, carrying them apart faster than any signal could travel. We are cosmic castaways, forever isolated in our bubble of reality, able only to theorize about the infinite diversity that might surround us. As you absorb this possibility, consider how it reframes your place in existence. You're not just on a planet orbiting a star in a galaxy within a universe. You might be a fleeting pattern of consciousness inside a bubble of space-time, floating in an endless sea of other realities, each with its own version of physics, its own story of emergence and evolution. Let's zoom in now, not out to cosmic scales, but down to the smallest possible distances, where space itself might not be the smooth fabric we imagine. At the Planck scale, a realm so tiny that it makes atoms look like solar systems, space and time might dissolve into something far stranger. Quantum mechanics tells us that at the smallest scales, uncertainty reigns supreme. You cannot precisely know both the position and momentum of a particle. You cannot measure energy with perfect accuracy over infinitely short time intervals. And this fundamental uncertainty extends to space and time themselves. At distances smaller than the Planck length, about 10 to the negative 35th meters, the very concepts of distance and duration begin to break down. Space might not be a smooth continuum, but rather a churning foam of quantum fluctuations, where virtual particles pop into existence and annihilate in timeframes so brief they barely qualify as real. This quantum foam suggests that the question what lies beyond space might be based on a false premise. Space, at its most fundamental level, might not be the container we imagine it to be. It might be an emergent property, something that arises from deeper, more fundamental processes that we're only beginning to glimpse. Some theoretical physicists propose that space and time emerge from the entanglement of quantum information. In this view, the fabric of reality is woven not from particles or fields, but from relationships, connections, correlations that exist in a realm more abstract than anything we can directly perceive. If this picture is correct, then asking what lies beyond space is like asking what lies beyond the concept of number. It's not that there's nothing there, but rather that the question itself might not apply to the deeper level of reality from which space emerges. Take a moment to let this sink in. The space around you, the distance between your eyes and these words, the gap between Earth and the stars, all of it might be a kind of illusion, a simplified way your mind interprets something far more fundamental happening at scales too small and processes too abstract for direct experience. This isn't to diminish the reality of your experience, but rather to suggest that reality has layers, depths, dimensions of existence that transcend our everyday categories. We are patterns of information processing other patterns of information, all of it embedded in a quantum substrate that defies our most basic assumptions about what it means for something to exist. Here's where our journey takes perhaps its most abstract turn, into realms where mathematics itself becomes a kind of reality. Some cosmologists and physicists have proposed that mathematical structures don't just describe the universe, they are the universe. Consider this: every equation that successfully describes natural phenomena seems to tap into something deeper than human invention. The mathematics of electromagnetism, discovered by Maxwell in the 19th century, predicted the existence of radio waves decades before anyone built a radio. Einstein's equations predicted black holes, gravitational waves, and the expansion of space itself, all confirmed by later observations. It's as if mathematics has a life of its own, revealing truths about reality that exist independently of the minds that discover them. This leads to a tantalizing possibility. Perhaps every mathematically consistent structure exists as a physical reality somewhere in the infinite landscape of possibility. In this view, called the mathematical universe hypothesis, our physical universe is just one mathematical structure among infinitely many others. There might be universes where the laws of logic themselves are different, where 2 + 2 = 5, where time flows in spirals rather than lines, where consciousness operates by rules we cannot even imagine. This mathematical multiverse would be the ultimate answer to our question about what lies beyond space. Beyond our space lies every other possible space, every conceivable geometry, every variant of physics that mathematics can accommodate. Reality becomes an infinite library of mathematical possibilities, with our universe as just one volume in an endless collection. But notice how this perspective transforms the very nature of existence. If mathematics is the fundamental substrate of reality, then your thoughts, your experience of listening to these words, all of it emerges from mathematical relationships playing out in the vast space of possible structures. You're not separate from this mathematical reality, you're an expression of it. Your consciousness might be what it feels like to be a particular kind of information processing pattern embedded in the mathematical structure we call our universe. This isn't meant to reduce the richness of your experience, but rather to suggest that you're part of something far more magnificent than you might have imagined. Every thought, every emotion, every moment of awareness is the universe knowing itself through the specific pattern that is you. As we prepare to explore our final perspective on what might lie beyond space, take a breath and feel the weight of these possibilities. Whether space is infinite, whether it curves back on itself, whether it emerges from quantum foam or mathematical structures, you are here, now, aware, participating in the cosmic story as it unfolds. The universe has spent 13.8 billion years arranging itself in just such a way that you could exist, could wonder, could ask these impossible questions about the nature of everything. In a very real sense, you are the universe's way of exploring the mystery of its own existence. Here's where our understanding of reality takes perhaps its most startling turn, into a realm where everything you think you know about the nature of existence gets turned inside out. What if the three-dimensional world you experience, the depth and volume that seems so fundamental to reality, is actually just a projection from a two-dimensional surface? This isn't metaphorical speculation, it's a serious theoretical framework emerging from our deepest attempts to understand black holes and quantum gravity. The holographic principle suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on its two-dimensional boundary, much like how a hologram stores a three-dimensional image on a flat surface. Imagine watching a holographic movie where three-dimensional scenes appear to have depth and volume, yet all the information is actually stored on a flat screen. According to the holographic principle, our entire universe might work this way. Everything you perceive as having depth, every object you see as three-dimensional, might be information encoded on a distant two-dimensional boundary. Think about this for a moment. The coffee cup in your hands, the room around you, even your own body, might be holographic projections from information stored on the cosmic horizon of space itself. This doesn't make your experience less real, but it suggests that reality has layers of description that transcend our intuitive understanding. This holographic perspective offers a profound answer to our question about what lies beyond space. If our three-dimensional reality is a projection from a two-dimensional boundary, then beyond space isn't necessarily another place, but rather a deeper level of information storage and processing. As you absorb this possibility, notice how it shifts your relationship with the physical world. That sense of solid matter, of objects having definite locations and boundaries, might be your mind's way of interpreting patterns of information flowing across a cosmic screen you can never directly perceive. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness itself might play a role in this holographic projection, though this remains highly speculative and far from scientific consensus. The idea that awareness somehow participates in the unfolding of reality from its holographic substrate touches on ancient philosophical questions about the nature of observation and existence. Let's venture now into one of the most haunting possibilities that emerges from an infinite universe: the concept of eternal recurrence. If space truly extends forever and matter is distributed throughout it, then the mathematics of infinity demands something that feels almost mystical in its implications. Every possible arrangement of matter, every possible configuration of atoms, every possible sequence of events must occur somewhere in infinite space. Not just once, but infinitely many times. This isn't just a theoretical curiosity, it's an unavoidable consequence of infinite space, filled with finite building blocks. Somewhere in the vast expanse beyond our cosmic horizon, there might be another solar system, identical to ours, with another Earth, where another version of you is having exactly the same thoughts at exactly the same moment. And beyond that, infinite variations each slightly different, exploring every possible path your life might take. This idea, which echoes ancient philosophical concepts from thinkers like Nietzsche, transforms how we understand uniqueness and meaning. In an infinite universe, every choice you make, every word you speak, every moment of joy or sorrow plays out in countless variations across the cosmic stage. But here's what makes this more than mere philosophical speculation. If the universe is indeed infinite and relatively uniform, these duplicates aren't just possible, they're mathematically inevitable. The question isn't whether they exist, but how far away they might be. Cosmologists have actually calculated rough estimates for these distances. Your nearest identical copy might be about 10 to the power of 29 meters away, a number so large it defies comprehension. To put this in perspective, if you wrote out this number, it would contain more digits than there are particles in the observable universe. As you contemplate this possibility, consider how it reframes the concept of mortality and permanence. In an infinite universe, nothing is ever truly lost. Every pattern repeats, every story gets told again and again across the endless expanse of space and time. This doesn't diminish the importance of your choices or experiences, but rather suggests that you're part of an infinite symphony of existence, where every note, every variation, every possible melody finds expression somewhere in the vast cosmic composition. Now we approach perhaps the deepest mystery of all, the relationship between consciousness and the cosmos. You're not just observing the universe, you are the universe observing itself, a localized pattern of matter and energy that has somehow become aware of its own existence. Think about the extraordinary chain of events that led to this moment. The universe began as a hot, dense singularity, expanded and cooled, formed the first atoms, then stars, then heavier elements in stellar furnaces, then planets, then somehow, miraculously, patterns of matter organized themselves in such a way that they could contemplate their own existence. You are made of star stuff, quite literally. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all of it was forged in the hearts of dying stars billions of years ago. But more than that, you are a way for the cosmos to know itself, to experience wonder, to ask questions about what lies beyond the edges of everything. Some interpretations in quantum mechanics suggest that consciousness might play a fundamental role in the nature of reality itself, though this remains highly speculative and without scientific consensus. The idea that observation somehow participates in determining the properties of quantum systems has led to profound questions about whether mind and matter are as separate as we typically assume. This is not to suggest that your thoughts directly control quantum events or manifest physical outcomes. Such claims lack scientific support. Rather, it points to something deeper and more mysterious about the relationship between subjective experience and objective reality. When you look up at the night sky, you're not just seeing distant stars. You're participating in a cosmic feedback loop, where the universe uses your eyes, your mind, your capacity for wonder to examine itself. Every moment of awareness is the cosmos becoming conscious of its own magnificent complexity. As you listen to these words, photons are striking your retina, nerve impulses are traveling through your brain, and somehow, mysteriously, this physical process gives rise to the subjective experience of understanding, of wonder, of being present to the vast mystery we're exploring together. What does the future hold for our understanding of what lies beyond space? The next few decades promise revolutionary advances in both theoretical physics and observational astronomy that might finally provide answers to questions that have puzzled humanity for millennia. The James Webb Space Telescope is already peering deeper into space and further back in time than ever before, potentially revealing clues about the universe's earliest moments and largest structures. Future missions will map dark matter, measure dark energy with unprecedented precision, and perhaps detect the subtle signatures of other universes colliding with our own. On the theoretical front, physicists are working to unite quantum mechanics with general relativity, a marriage that might reveal entirely new perspectives on the nature of space and time. String theory, loop quantum gravity, and emergent gravity theories all offer different visions of what reality might look like at its most fundamental level. Some of these theories suggest that space and time are not fundamental features of reality, but rather emergent properties that arise from something deeper and more abstract. If this is true, then our question about what lies beyond space might be like asking what lies beyond the concept of colour or the idea of number. Advanced computer simulations are beginning to model entire universes, from the quantum scale to cosmic structures, allowing us to test theoretical predictions and explore scenarios that would be impossible to study directly. These digital cosmos might reveal patterns and principles that help us understand our place in the larger scheme of existence. As you imagine these future discoveries, consider how they might change your daily experience of being human. Will knowing more about the cosmos make sunsets less beautiful? Or will it add new layers of meaning to the simple act of watching light travel across space to reach your eyes? The history of science suggests that each answer we discover opens up new questions, deeper mysteries, more profound puzzles. The edge we're approaching isn't the end of wonder, but rather the beginning of new forms of awe that we can barely imagine. Let's bring this cosmic journey back down to Earth for a moment and explore how these mind-bending concepts about the nature of space might actually relate to your everyday experience of being human. When you're feeling overwhelmed by personal problems, remember that you're part of a universe that might extend infinitely in all directions. Your challenges, while real and important to your experience, are small ripples in an ocean of space and time so vast that it dwarfs every human concern. This isn't meant to diminish your struggles, but rather to provide perspective. In a cosmos that might contain infinite worlds and infinite possibilities, there's a strange comfort in knowing that you're part of something much larger than yourself, something that transcends the boundaries of your individual existence. When you experience moments of deep connection with others, consider that you're sharing not just emotional bonds, but fundamental physical origins. You and everyone you love are made from the same stellar material, patterns in the same cosmic dance, expressions of the same universal story unfolding across space and time. The questions we've explored about edges and boundaries aren't just abstract intellectual puzzles. They're invitations to expand your sense of what's possible. If the universe can exist without edges, if reality can be both finite and boundless, then perhaps the limitations you perceive in your own life are also more flexible than they appear. Notice how contemplating these cosmic mysteries changes your relationship with uncertainty. If the fundamental nature of reality remains mysterious even to our best scientists, then perhaps not knowing everything about your own future isn't a failing but rather a natural condition of existence in a universe full of surprises. When you make choices, remember that in an infinite universe, all possibilities might play out somewhere. This doesn't make your choices meaningless, but rather suggests that you're exploring one path through an infinite landscape of potential experiences. Take a deep breath now, and let's use this moment to practice a kind of cosmic meditation, a way of using these ideas about infinite space to expand your awareness and find peace in the midst of mystery. Close your eyes if you can, or soften your gaze and imagine yourself exactly where you are right now. Feel your body in contact with whatever surface supports you. Notice the space immediately around you, the air touching your skin, the sounds reaching your ears. Now expand your awareness beyond your immediate surroundings. Imagine the building or outdoor space you're in, then the wider landscape, your city or town, the region, the country, the continent. Feel yourself as part of this larger geographical whole. Continue expanding. Picture Earth from space a blue marble floating in the cosmic dark. See the moon in its orbit, then the sun with its family of planets. Expand further to include the solar system, then nearby stars, then the spiral arms of our galaxy. Keep going. Imagine the Milky Way as just one galaxy among the hundreds of billions in the observable universe. Feel the vast distances between these island universes, the deep space that separates one cluster of galaxies from another. Now, if you can, try to sense the possibility that all of this, our entire observable universe, might be just a tiny bubble in an infinite ocean of space. Imagine that ocean extending forever, filled with wonders we can barely conceive. Notice what happens to your sense of self as you contemplate these scales. Do you feel smaller or somehow larger? Do your immediate concerns seem more or less important? There's no right answer, just your unique experience of touching the infinite with your imagination. This practice isn't meant to make you feel insignificant, but rather to help you find your proper place in the cosmic story. You are simultaneously a tiny speck in infinite space and the most complex, aware, creative pattern of matter and energy that we know exists anywhere in the universe. As we near the end of our journey together, let's explore how these scientific insights about the nature of space connect with some of humanity's oldest philosophical and spiritual questions about existence and meaning. For thousands of years, mystics and philosophers have spoken about the boundless nature of reality, using language that seems to anticipate our modern cosmological discoveries. Ancient texts describe consciousness as infinite, reality as without edges, existence as a seamless whole without beginning or end. While we must be careful not to conflate ancient wisdom with modern science, there's something deeply moving about the resonance between contemporary cosmology and traditional insights about the nature of existence. Both point toward a reality that transcends our everyday categories of bounded and unbounded, finite and infinite. Consider how these ideas about space without edges might inform your understanding of other seemingly boundless phenomena in your life. Love, creativity, curiosity, compassion, these experiences often feel infinite in their depth and scope. Perhaps they're reflecting something fundamental about the nature of the cosmos itself. When you experience moments of profound connection with nature, with others, or with the mystery of existence itself, you might be touching the same boundless quality that characterizes space itself. This is speculative, of course, not a proven scientific fact, but it's a beautiful possibility to contemplate. The meditation traditions speak of awareness itself as having no center and no edge, much like the space we've been exploring. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness and cosmos might share this boundless quality, though this remains far from scientific consensus and should be understood as metaphorical rather than literal. What if the reason these cosmic questions fascinate us so deeply is that they reflect something essential about the nature of awareness itself? What if the mind that can contemplate infinite space is itself somehow infinite in its capacity for wonder, understanding, and growth? As you sit with these questions, notice that you don't need to find definitive answers to benefit from the contemplation. Sometimes the most profound insights come not from knowing, but from dwelling comfortably in the space of not knowing, allowing mystery to expand your sense of what's possible. Here we are, approaching the end of our exploration, and perhaps the most practical question of all: how do we live meaningful lives in a universe that might have no edges, no center, no ultimate purpose that we can definitively identify? The answer, I believe, lies not in solving the mystery, but in learning to thrive within it. The universe's lack of obvious boundaries might not be a problem to solve, but rather a gift to receive. It suggests that reality is far more open, creative, and surprising than any bounded system could be. When you face uncertainty in your personal life, remember that you're part of a cosmos that exists in a state of fundamental openness. The universe doesn't have all the answers either. It's still unfolding, still exploring its own possibilities, still discovering what it might become. This cosmic uncertainty isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. It's what allows for novelty, growth, evolution, consciousness itself. In a universe with fixed boundaries and predetermined outcomes, there would be no room for the kind of creative emergence that led to stars, planets, life, and ultimately to you. Your capacity to wonder about these questions, to feel awe at the night sky, to experience love and create beauty, these aren't accidents in an otherwise mechanical universe. They're expressions of the cosmos's own creative potential, patterns of complexity and awareness that emerge from the boundless dance of matter and energy across infinite space. When you choose kindness over cruelty, when you create rather than destroy, when you seek understanding rather than remaining in ignorance, you're participating in the universe's own movement toward greater complexity, awareness, and beauty. You're helping the cosmos fulfill its potential for conscious self-reflection and creative expression. The fact that space might have no edges doesn't make your choices meaningless, it makes them more meaningful. In an infinite universe filled with infinite possibilities, every decision you make, every moment of awareness you experience, every act of love you express, adds something unique to the cosmic story. As we prepare to close this cosmic contemplation, let's acknowledge that we haven't really answered the question we set out to explore. We still don't know definitively what lies beyond space, or even whether that question makes sense in the first place, but perhaps that's the point. Perhaps the value isn't in finding final answers, but in allowing these impossible questions to expand our minds, deepen our wonder, and connect us with the fundamental mystery of existence itself. Every generation of humans has looked up at the night sky and wondered about the nature of space, time, and their own place in the cosmic story. These questions have inspired art, philosophy, science, and spirituality for thousands of years. They've driven us to build telescopes, develop mathematics, and push the boundaries of human understanding. The questions themselves seem to be eternal, evolving with our knowledge, but never fully resolved. And maybe that's as it should be. Maybe the universe is structured in such a way that conscious beings like us will always have new mysteries to explore, new frontiers to investigate, new wonders to discover. Think about how your own understanding has evolved during our time together. You began with intuitive ideas about boundaries and edges, and now you're contemplating holographic projections, infinite recurrence, and the emergence of space from quantum foam. Your mind has stretched to accommodate concepts that seemed impossible just a short while ago. This capacity for intellectual and spiritual growth might be one of the most remarkable features of human consciousness. We are patterns of matter and energy that can contemplate our own existence, wonder about infinity, and find meaning in mystery itself. As you return to your daily life, carry these questions with you, not as burdens to solve, but as companions to enrich your journey. Let them remind you that reality is far stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests, and that you're part of something magnificent beyond comprehension. The next time you feel the boundaries of your life pressing in, remember the boundless cosmos we've explored together. The next time you face uncertainty, recall that you're part of a universe that thrives in the space between questions and answers, between the known and the unknown. And when you look up at the stars, smile at the mystery, you're not just observing distant lights, you're participating in the cosmos's own self-contemplation, adding your unique perspective to an ongoing conversation that spans space and time, connecting you with every conscious being that has ever wondered about the nature of existence itself. Thank you for joining me on this journey to the edges of everything and beyond. Until we meet again in the space between questions, keep wondering, keep exploring, and remember that in a universe without edges, every moment is both an ending and a beginning, every answer a doorway to deeper mystery. If these cosmic questions have stirred something in you, you might enjoy exploring another profound mystery that connects the vastness of space with the depths of consciousness itself. In The Observer Effect, Does Reality Need You to Exist? A journey into quantum mechanics and the strange relationship between mind and cosmos that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the nature of existence. And so here we are, at the end of our impossible journey, standing once again at the place where we began. Except now everything looks different, doesn't it? The same room surrounds you, the same walls, the same familiar objects, but something has shifted in the space between your thoughts. You started this evening wondering about the edges of the universe, and somewhere along the way, you discovered that the real mystery isn't what lies beyond space, but what lies beyond the edges of your own understanding. You've touched the infinite with your imagination, danced with concepts that stretch far beyond the boundaries of everyday experience. And perhaps most remarkably, you've done it all without leaving wherever you happen to be sitting right now. Take a moment to notice this. The cosmic journey we've shared together didn't require traveling a single inch through physical space. It happened entirely within the boundless landscape of consciousness, in that mysterious realm where thoughts arise, where wonder dwells, where questions bloom into understanding. And isn't that its own kind of miracle? As you return your attention to your immediate surroundings, see if you can carry some of that cosmic perspective with you. The coffee cup on your table, the light filtering through your window, the air moving gently through the room, all of it is part of the same reality we've been exploring. The atoms in that cup were forged in stellar furnaces. The light dancing on the walls has travelled vast distances to reach you. The space between objects might extend infinitely beyond your perception. Everything is both exactly as it appears and infinitely more mysterious than it seems. This isn't a contradiction to resolve, but a paradox to savour, a reminder that reality operates on multiple levels simultaneously, each one true in its own context. You don't need to understand everything we've discussed tonight for it to change you. Understanding isn't the only way that ideas transform us. Sometimes, the most profound shifts happen not through knowing, but through wondering. Not through answers, but through questions that expand the very shape of our minds. As you prepare to step back into your daily life, carrying these cosmic insights with you, let's explore how the boundless nature of space might illuminate the boundless qualities present in your most intimate experiences. Consider the last time you felt truly seen by another person, that moment when someone's attention touched something essential in you. Wasn't there something infinite in that connection? Something that seemed to expand beyond the physical boundaries of your separate bodies? Love, it seems, doesn't respect the edges that seem to define individual existence. This is speculative, not a proven scientific fact, but perhaps these experiences of boundless connection reflect something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. If space can exist without edges, if the universe can be simultaneously finite and unbounded, maybe consciousness operates by similar principles. When you lose yourself in creative flow, when time seems to stop and the boundaries between self and activity dissolve, you might be experiencing your own version of cosmic boundlessness. The painter becomes the painting, the musician dissolves into the music, the writer disappears into the words flowing across the page. Notice how these moments feel different from your ordinary sense of bounded selfhood. There's an expansion, an opening, a sense of participating in something larger than the usual story you tell about who you are and where you end. These experiences don't prove anything about the nature of consciousness or its relationship to cosmic space, but they offer intriguing parallels worth contemplating. Even in moments of deep solitude, when you're most aware of your apparent separateness, you're never truly alone. The very atoms of your body are in constant conversation with the electromagnetic fields around you. The light entering your eyes connects you instantaneously with distant stars. Your breath mingles with the atmosphere that connects you to every living being on the planet. The boundaries between self and world, between inner and outer, between here and there, are far more fluid than they appear in ordinary consciousness. This isn't to suggest that these boundaries are illusions, but rather that they might be more like guidelines than walls, more like useful organizing principles than fundamental facts about the nature of existence. So here we find ourselves floating together in the gentle aftermath of an impossible question. We've journeyed through infinite expanses and quantum foam, through holographic projections and eternal recurrence, through the mathematics of existence itself. And what have we discovered? Perhaps the most beautiful truth of all, that the universe's greatest gift isn't answers, but the endless capacity to wonder. The question of what lies beyond space may never find a final resolution, and maybe that's exactly as it should be. In a cosmos without edges, every ending becomes a new beginning. Every boundary we cross reveals new horizons, stretching endlessly before us. You are part of that boundless story, a conscious pattern in an infinite dance, forever exploring the mystery of your own existence. Thank you for drifting through these cosmic depths with me tonight. Until our paths cross again in the space between questions, keep your wonder alive, your curiosity boundless, and remember that in a universe without limits, you too are infinite in ways you've yet to discover. So here we find ourselves, floating together in the gentle aftermath of an impossible question. We've journeyed through infinite expanses and quantum foam, through holographic projections and eternal recurrence, through the mathematics of existence itself. And what have we discovered? Perhaps the most beautiful truth of all, that the universe's greatest gift isn't answers, but the endless capacity to wonder. The question of what lies beyond space may never find a final resolution, and maybe that's exactly as it should be. In a cosmos without edges, every ending becomes a new beginning. Every boundary we cross reveals new horizons stretching endlessly before us. You are part of that boundless story, a conscious pattern in an infinite dance, forever exploring the mystery of your own existence. Whether space stretches infinitely in all directions, curves back upon itself in dimensions we cannot perceive, or emerges from quantum foam at scales too small to imagine, one thing remains constant. Your capacity to contemplate these mysteries is itself a kind of miracle. You are the universe's way of knowing itself, a fleeting arrangement of stardust that has somehow learned to wonder about its own origins and destiny. As you return to your daily life, carry this cosmic perspective with you. When you feel confined by circumstances, remember the boundless nature of the reality you inhabit. When uncertainty troubles you, recall that you're part of a cosmos that thrives in the space between questions and answers. And when you look up at the night sky, smile at the beautiful impossibility of it all. Thank you for drifting through these cosmic depths with me tonight. Until our paths cross again in the space between questions, keep your wonder alive, your curiosity boundless, and remember that in a universe without limits, you too are infinite in ways you've yet to discover.